I want to start off saying I'm John Allison with the USS Cod, telling you about some good adventures of and wonderful things that did take place overseas. And the best that I remember in the several years I was there was meeting Ann-Margret, Bob Hope, and the USO show. You got to remember, in the 60s, the first, and I'll call them the pinup girls that we liked, most of us, was Raquel Welch. By 67, going into 68, Ann-Margret took over as the pinup girl. The one we all wanted to meet and hug and marry and have 27 kids. And as it turned out, in 68, she came along with Bob Hope to the USO show. And I saw the 67 show. I now, knowing she was coming with the Bob Hope show, I wanted to make sure I would see that, see her, and get as close as I could. Well, as it turns out, when she was going to get ready to come to Saigon, our gunship squadron was right there. And they called us up to go on duty, two of our ships. And we were going to miss the show. I was so disappointed. I was so mad I couldn't stand it. Because I'm going to miss the show of shows. As it turned out, they called up a couple more of our ships, and away we went on a mission we had no information about. And they wouldn't give it to us. And as we were getting to the coordinates they gave us, that's when we flew over the base and saw C-130s, Chinook helicopters, and GIs as far as the eye could see. And once we landed, then we were told on the helipad, you're going to escort them. One of the officers that was with the colonels and all them, there was no generals, just top brass colonels. And as their aides came to us, they told us to confirm we're going to escort them for the next two places. But actually, the next one was Saigon. And once we got to Benoit, we were relieved. At Saigon, they said, okay, 30 miles away is Benoit. Just escort them to there, and then the other unit's going to take over. When you do, you guys go back to your Tonsanute and do what you got to do. And we said, oh, okay. Ambush. That's what they mainly were concerned about, because not only did you have our four ships there, front and back, you had what was called the Sandies. Those were Sky Raiders. They were off and almost out of sight, but we knew where they were, because if we were ambushed or any of us were shot down, the choppers, the Chinooks would be escorted out of there, and the Sandies would come in and finish the job. So their biggest concern was ambush. And we just were standing out of our ships. The captain, who was actually in charge of all four of us, he's given us a few instructions. Don't embarrass us, don't this, don't that, and watch what you say and watch how you're looking at them. Don't drool, shit like that in a comical way. And then we didn't stand in parade, nothing. We just, us four stood at our ship, those four, and then when the celebrities came to us, we just all gathered around them. And going, oh my God, I thought we were going to go into a hell of a firefight, but this is a dream come true. I'd stay here forever if I could do this every year. And shit like that, and we're all teasing and carrying on. Junior was my pilot. We could talk to him like a regular guy. He was like Hawkeye. And I was ecstatic, I mean. And out of all people, Ann-Margret. Oh, I didn't give a fuck about the other girls. Ann-Margret. The whole Bob Hope show come walking over to see us. And right behind Bob Hope, here comes Ann-Margret. White dress. And 100 feet away as she come walking up with Rosie Greer, Roger Smith, her husband, Bob Hope, we already could smell how wonderful she was. And this was the greatest moment in my life, being overseas or not. Came up to our ships, everybody saw our ships, sat in our ships. He bumped actually into the minigun, and he made some comical remark about it'd be a shame if he got his legs shot up just looking at one, not doing anything, and some kind of a joke in that manner. And so he watched his step, and then he gave it to the guy that was always with Bob Hope. Give him another hat, hold his golf club or whatever. And then Bob Hope came around the guns and the rockets and sat in the seat. And come over to the side of mine on the left side. Bob Hope wanted to sit in my chair, on and on and on and on. When he got out, here come Ann-Margret. Standing next to her, closer than I ever thought in all my wild dreams. She's holding my arm. We got her up and sat in the helicopter. And people are photographing. I'm trying to have my buddy take as many as he could for me. And she sat in my seat. And I figured I'm going to save that seat for the rest of my life. When she got out, she thanked us. We talked to Bob Hope and the rest. And she gives me a little kiss on the left side of my cheek. Who could ask for more? I'd have volunteered to go over there a couple more trips if I knew I was going to be with her again or around her. And as it turned out, with all the conversations, which was quick and short, the generals were there. So you had to mind your P's and Q's and act like a soldier. And to go away with, she sat in my seat, and to go away with, she gave me a kiss on the cheek, let alone hold my arm. That was the greatest moment of my life overseas. We all knew she was the prettiest, the nicest. Ever since we saw the movie Viva Las Vegas, she was our girl, and she knew it. He was the kindest, most thoughtful, most humane individual I've ever met in my life. Always thinking of the troops, always wanting to entertain, always to give up his Christmas just for us. What more could you ask for? How more can it affect you of meeting the man, Bob Hope? Being from Cleveland, he's from Cleveland, that even made it better. When he talked, he always had that smile. That little ski nose he had was perfect. And he would say little joking things to you, and how he could never do what we did, so forth and so on. But what he did was more of a hero and a heroic, all-American individual, more than anybody else of America I could think of. If I could be more like him, I would have done so. So Bob Hope was the greatest. He was a mountain of a man, far more than what the televisions and the football games showed. Mountain of a man. Also a very big teddy bear. I wouldn't want to shake his hand in anger or be squeezed by him in anger, but he's talking about the ships and what it took to man these ships and do what we did on our missions. And he was in awe of us as we were him. But what a superhuman being he was, and far, far more gentle than you thought. So he, too, is at the top of my list as some of the greatest people I've ever met. He was by our doors, and he was so big that for him to bend over and try to climb up in there and sit on one of our seats in the back where the door gunners and stuff were, he'd have been cramped. I mean, he was big. Large boned man, he was big because of that. And boy, he'd have been cramped, and all he had on was a nice jersey and no helmet. And so he didn't quite try to climb in. We did 3 shows and got to sit in the front and watch the shows. And when this was all over and other gunships and people took over where they were going next, all we could talk about for weeks on end of meeting the Bob Hope show, letting us sit in front. He even mentioned us. So the conversation and the thoughts and the gratitude was overwhelming long after they left our area. I wish all our missions were as sweet as that, because that was the greatest at the time. No, we didn't engage no enemy in any way, shape, or form. And we all felt pretty confident that the logistics who gets Bob Hope shows there and any other entertainers, they pretty much clear the way for them to be safe. I really don't know of any of, they've drew fire here and there, but I don't remember any of them getting into any kind of bad situation. So that's about the best I could tell you as one of the best moments of my life overseas.